Look. All right. Happy Friday. Welcome back to the program. We are ready to go today. We've got not a ton today. Really just the Thursday night football stuff. We'll preview NFL Week 5 and send you guys on your way for the weekend. And send myself on the way for the weekend. We'll play a little Madden after this. It's Friday night, man. I ain't got, I might just keep playing Madden. I might just keep hollering at it. Try and break into this top 100. Now, I'll tell you this. I was talking to a buddy of mine who's kind of a sports nerd. He knows more than me about these kind of things. And I asked him, I said, look, here's where I'm at in Madden right now. Here's the level of competition I'm at. I'm like 3 promotions away from being a top 100 player in the world. And I said, like, is that a real thing? Like, would I actually be top 100 in the world? And he said, technically, yeah, but you're playing just regular online head-to-head, right? And I said, yeah. He said, that's not really top 100 in the world. He said, I got up to number 17 in the world at one point. And I've played him before, he said the real cream ends up going to the ultimate team. Come here. This dog always, man, I'm telling you what, this dog is testing my patience. Had to charge my computer up. This dog walks in here and he wants to just walk right over the cord that's plugged into my computer. So that's had to get up and change that. I was excited about being in the top 100 players in the world in Madden. But I now know that might not be the same kind of achievement that I originally thought it would be. So there's that. Rams lose in overtime to a depleted 49ers team. They come out flat. They really took 3 quarters to wake up. Special teams cost them another game. You had a blocked PAT last night. You had a kickoff penalty that gave the 49ers the ball on the 40 in overtime. And then you have the 4th and 1 decision for Sean McVay to go for it. And I think what's going on in the league, I hope I'm not buffering. Of course I am. Is driving me nuts, man. I feel like it's always Fridays we have this problem. Hopefully it's not a recurring thing. We're back. So, again, McVay has the chance to go for it on 4th and 1. Is there a fear in NFL head coaches with the new overtime rules of tying? Is that part of what went into Sean McVay's decision to go for it on 4th and 1? I think it is. I think these new overtime rules are kind of ruinous. I don't like them. I mentioned this yesterday. I don't like that the NFL is taking fans' money, right? Fans are paying money for tickets to go to these games, and they have the possibility of ending in a tie. I think this new overtime, the enhanced possibility of a tie, is what spurred Sean McVay's decision without hesitation to go for it on 4th and 1 in overtime. And you can look at his pressers after the game. He just jumped right into it. He said, I made a shitty call. They asked, was there any possibility that you kicked that field goal? And he said, absolutely not. I made the wrong decision. You made the wrong call. It's 4th and 1. What do you do? And they had a timeout beforehand as well. They called a timeout. They tried to get him on a hard count. They tried to get him on a freeze count. Not enough people are talking about that today, in my opinion. They had a whole timeout to hash out the right play, and then you run number 9 back out there to go for it on 4th and 1. And it was just an elementary dive. You hand off, and they stuff it. Fred Warner made the play. On that play, he didn't make the tackle, but he absolutely sold out to fit and force the running back inward. Right, it was a beautiful play. Fred Warner is the best linebacker in the game right now. I don't think there's any way you can argue around that. His impact on games is palpable every time he steps out there, and without hesitation, McVay goes for it on 4th and 1. In overtime to try and get the win. It was very clear to me in terms of the LA Rams play calling in that overtime drive that they had offensively that they were going for gold the whole time. They were going for the win the whole time. They had that big hitter down to Tutu Atwell. It was a deep crosser route. Beautifully done by Tutu Atwell. Catches it on the sideline. They're set up on the 30. It seems like they're in business. They're good to go. They're going to be fine regardless because they'll just come out and kick it, right? And, of course, they didn't. But even on the next couple plays after that big Tutu Atwell crosser route on the sideline there, down around the 30, you saw Matthew Stafford throwing it for the end zone. I think, in fact, on that first down, right after that big Tutu Atwell crosser route, they threw another route to the end zone to try and end it to Tutu Atwell. It didn't work out. So it was clearly no hesitation. They were clearly gunning for it. And I think the reason that all of this was going down the way it was going down is because Sean McVay was fearful of a tie. And the thing about it is even though a tie is not a win, a tie is better than a loss. And it kind of creates all this confusion around why we're even playing the fucking game. You know what I mean? Why are there ties in the NFL? The highest level of football. There's not ties in college football. You can't have a tie in college football. You got to have some sort of closure, some sort of finality. Why is that not a factor in the pro game? It's becoming more and more apparent after 4 weeks of football. We're coming up on the 5th week of football that these new special teams rules are really looming large on the game through 4 weeks. These new overtime rules are really looming large on the game through 4 weeks. And if it's looming large through 4 weeks, can't you think about how it might affect the game when it really, really matters? So I don't mind the special team shit. I think it adds a new level of complexity to the game, right? A new level of skill for kickers. You got this Rams kicker. I can't remember his name. It starts with a K. His last name Kartz or something. Kartzy. I can't remember. But this guy in overtime, he tries to kick a dirty ball, is what they call it, when it hits the very front part of the landing zone and then rolls in the rest of the way, makes it tough on the returner, and it gives the kickoff team time to get down there, even though they don't have a running start. It's a new and I see I'm buffering again. That's amazing. And we got people popping in. Welcome to the chat. Hopefully we can get this shit figured out. It always seems like on Fridays we have trouble with the video streaming. So I feel like I was on a roll there too, talking about the game. This is a bit sad, but we're going to keep rolling with it. It's just part of this shit. I don't know what else to do here. All my apps are killed. Let's see. Let's force that. I'm glad that you guys can still hear me. We'll keep it rolling. But all these different rules, they're playing it. They're taking a toll on the game, and I guarantee you that Sean McVay would not have called that last offensive drive the way he did if there wasn't a possibility for a tie. It's like, why would you not? I guarantee you at some point the NFL is going to have to change the way that these games end. They're going to have to do some sort of kickoff, like, make the kicker square off. Do it so that it's like college. If you get to a certain point, maybe force them to go for 2, whatever it takes to get the fans their money's worth. No fan wants to spend money to go into an NFL game and then the game ends in a tie. I can't imagine how these fans felt last week when the Packers played the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. It was a hell of a game, but then there's no closure. There's no finality at the end of the game. It's just, we tied. And that's all there is to it. So the fact that these changes in the game are already looming so large in 4 weeks of football is a massive indicator to me that it's only going to become a bigger topic of discussion as we get down the stretch in the season. So here's the next thing, and I really hope this fucking video catches up. I don't mean to rage. I'm not going to crash out today. This literally happened. The last time this shit happened when the video is frozen like this was last Friday, 2 Fridays ago. It's always on a Friday. I feel like everyone's done for the weekend. They're done with work, and everybody's trying to surf the web. I don't know what it is because all my apps are closed out, and we don't have this problem during the week. There we go. It's starting to catch up. Look at it. There we go. How about we just commentate this shitty streaming connection in real time until we catch up? Does that sound good to you guys? We always have a bunch of viewers, too, when this shit goes down. It's always when we have a bunch of viewers. So anyway, we'll just keep going. This is something else I noticed. LA has no real Rams fans. You look at that building from SoFi last night, 70% of that building were 49ers fans last night. They got to move this team. Oh, we're back. Look. And so I'll say it again so that maybe we have the possibility to clip this. LA has no real Rams fans. You look at the building last night at SoFi Stadium. 70% of that building, the resounding majority of that building were 49ers fans. The resounding majority. You got to move this LA team somewhere where the fans actually want them. You know? I don't know what it is with LA. These people think they're too cool to go to a football game and cheer. Oh, I have 18,000 followers on Instagram. I can't be seen wearing a Rams shirt cheering for a football team. You know, I don't know what the hell. Like, I don't know. Some of these people just kind of seem insufferable to me. Like, go to a football game and cheer for your fucking home team, dude. Go to, like, I don't know. Right? I know there's a lot to do in LA. There's a beach. There's beautiful weather. There's good-looking women. You know, there's bars. Like, I get it, right? I live in Phoenix. And I could do a better job of going to the Cardinals games and supporting them. But it's the same shit. There's just not an environment. People on the West Coast, they just don't take football as serious. And that's okay. But as a football guy, I have to admit, it kind of irks me a little bit. People on the West Coast living out here, they don't take football serious. Now, you got your Niners fans. Niners have a good fan base. They got a historically rich franchise, and that might be a big part of it. But the Rams have a lot of good history, too, albeit it's not all in L.A., right? You got the St. Louis Rams. And part of me was watching this game last night thinking, could you imagine if this team was still St. Louis? I don't know. Because at least if you had that team in St. Louis, Missouri, I guarantee you if they have a home game, they're packing that thing out. Or bare minimum, the other team, the road team's not going to outnumber their fans. But that's just L.A., right? That's just blue Democrat places. They don't care about stuff that matters, like football. Sorry. They don't give a shit. 70% 49ers fans in there. Move the team to Mexico or something. somewhere where people will care. There's plenty of places that don't have teams that would pack the stadium for their home team if they had an NFL team. Hell, move it to Alabama. You know what I'm saying? People down there love football. I know that. And it's a red state. Sorry, I don't mean to be political. So, Mac Jones, 3-0 as a starter. 342 yards passing last night. He made Kendrick Bourne look like Jerry Rice. He looked like a beast. The Niners are absolutely washed out with injuries last night. I said it on yesterday's show. I felt like they had no shot, and they come out there and they win in overtime. Kyle Shanahan completely outcoaches McVay. I just think that in terms of the special teams, McVay's squad has come up short. Special teams has cost the Rams 2 games in a row. That's a problem. Special teams, albeit, have changed a lot with the recent rule changes with the kickoffs. I get it. It's going to take time for special teams coordinators to catch up to the rule changes. I understand that. It's going to take time for players to implement those changes from the special teams coordinators and go out there and execute. I understand that. And we saw that when the Rams kicked it off in overtime, trying to get that dirty ball, and they just missed the zone. All of a sudden, ball's on the 40. All you got to do is go 25, 30 yards if you got a Brandon Aubrey-type kicker. Who's that? San Francisco's kicker? Pinheiro? All you got to do is go, maybe you got to get down to the opposing 35, something like that, and you got like a 48-yarder, right? So you only got to go like 20, let's think. Yeah, 10, 20, 25 yards to have a shot. So people are saying, and I think too, we've had this discussion on the show before. People are saying, is NIL ruining football? Is it trickling into pro football? Is it affecting the quality of football? And a lot of people are arguing that offenses are getting the lowest average yards per game in 50 years in the NFL. But my counter argument to that, and I'm not saying what I just said is completely untrue, by the way, but I think the counter argument to that is if your kicker misses the landing zone, the ball's on the 40 already. If your kicker kicks it out the back, ball's on the 35 already. So I think that's a huge reason why you're not seeing as many total yards of offense. If you only have 60 yards to go per series, it's going to affect the total yardage. So special teams is completely different. So I think we have to give Sean McVay and the Rams the benefit of the doubt there. They might just be the poster child for what every team in the NFL is going through, adjusting to these new special teams rules, this new kicking game, right? But nonetheless, the Rams special teams have cost them the last 2 games. Now, you have a blocked PAT in this game last night, right? And that's not gonna make up the 3 points they ended up losing by, but it's still something to remark upon. And then, like we mentioned, your kicker, what's his name, Karts or whatever for LA, misses the zone, puts San Francisco on the 40 in overtime. And then you go back to the game before that, it's the blocked field goal against Philly that was taken back to the house. But Mac Jones, 342 yards passing. Look, Mac Jones makes $800,000 a year. Brock Purdy just got absolutely paid. So what do? I know I saw this conundrum a lot, even in college football. We'd have guys on our team in college who were walk-ons that were outplaying scholarship guys in practice. And it was a really tough decision for coaches to make, to say, oh, shit, dude. Like, we're paying guy X and we're not paying guy Y. So what do? We've made an investment in guy X, but guy Y is obviously going to help the team a bit more. There's not any ROI all of a sudden. Right? If you start the walk-on guy who you're not paying anything, and you sit down the guy that you're paying over this is college, by the way. I'm pro, it's an even bigger scale. You're paying a guy $160,000 tuition. This is back when I was in college, so now it's even more, right? If you're paying a guy, $1 million a year in NIL money, and he's not panning out, and you got this walk-on that you didn't pay anything for, it's like it's almost an ego thing with coaches. It's like, or in the case of pro football, front office personnel or whoever, it's almost an ego hit, right? Because you're basically acknowledging, at least in practice on the field, in the game, that we were wrong to pay this guy. And you're not getting any ROI on him because the guy you're paying less is playing better. But on the flip side, you're getting a lot more bang for your buck watching Mac Jones go 3-0 as a starter when he's only making $800,000 a year. But you just paid Brock Purdy. It's a bit of a precarious situation. Because I do think Mac Jones is playing much better than Brock Purdy. I think, and I've always thought this, I don't think this is going to trigger 49er fans. It shouldn't, because you've obviously got a guy in Mac Jones that's competent, that can play, that can win you games against elite teams like the Rams. I think you're going to see both of these teams in the NFC down the stretch, barring some catastrophic shit. I think Mac Jones is the guy. And it's really easy to say that right now. Things could happen. The guy, Mac, he's had his challenges in his young career already. He ended up not being the guy that New England goes with. He ends up being a backup in Jacksonville. And now you're kind of seeing, as Kirk Herbstreit and the boys last night were talking about a little bit, a bit of a redemption arc with Mac Jones. A bit of a redemption arc. I think you go with the guy that's winning. Okay? That might not be what the 49ers do for the exact reason that I just mentioned. They paid Brock. They paid him, and sometimes ego gets in the way. I'm not saying that is the case here, but sometimes if you're a general manager, again, I've been in a professional football building on the business side. I wasn't in those discussions when they're negotiating contracts. I will acknowledge that front and center. But I was a player in college, and I did see what went on behind closed doors when a walk-on, and again, I was in college pre-NIL, so it's even different now today. I was in those rooms when the coaches were discussing who was going to be on the field. And a lot of those times, especially at a smaller D1 school like I went to, an FCS program, you would have walk-on guys end up outplaying scholarship guys. And it was very evident that even if a walk-on is blatantly outplaying a scholarship guy in practice and sometimes the games, that coaches would hang on. They would hang on to the idea of the scholarship guy still being the guy because that's who they invested in. You guys follow me? So I think there's a little bit of that definitely going on with Brock Purdy and Mac Jones. I've always thought Brock Purdy was overrated. I've never thought he was really all that. I think the 49ers have done a masterful job of constructing their roster since John Lynch has become the GM. I think John Lynch has done a phenomenal job running that show. The only glaring issue to me with the 49ers is their motherfucking training staff. All right? And I think we talked about it yesterday on the show. Their training staff, they put Brock Purdy out against Jacksonville before he's ready. And we all know that because Brock Purdy gets ruled out for last night's game, and then they win. And they're 3-0 with Mac Jones. So I think you go with Mac Jones until the wheels fall off. Now, I think Mac Jones is going to have a very short leash, as you always do when you're that walk-on guy that's out playing the scholarship guy. I'm talking in college. That's college perspective. That's the only way I know from experience. You cannot mess up if you're Mac Jones. If you throw one bad interception, if you're Mac Jones, let's say the 49ers end up going with you. They say, "Look, let's ride this out. Let's get this momentum. Let's ride this wave a little bit." You got a short leash if you're Mac Jones. You throw one bad interception, the fans, they're going to start saying, "Put Brock back in." The coaches, they're going to start like looking over and being like, "Hey, you remember that guy that we paid all that money that's sitting here? That pick looked pretty bad. Maybe we should give him another shot." But it's very clear, I think it's very clear that a quarterback controversy is brewing in San Francisco. And you have to speak for the fact that Mac Jones played for Saban. You know? He does things the right way because he was taught by Saban, the greatest college coach of all time. Maybe pound for pound, the greatest coach of all time, college or pro. So you have to take that into account. Like I said, Rams special teams, they cost them this game. The Rams had plenty of chances to go and take this ball game. And Sean McVay, I respected it a lot. He took full responsibility post-game. He didn't even let the reporter finish his question. He said that 4th and 1, the reporter did. He said something about that 4th and 1, and McVay cut him right off and was like, it wasn't the right call. I failed my guys. McVay's a special freaking coach, man. I don't mean to glaze, but he's a real one. I really enjoy listening to him talk in his post-game pressers. I enjoy listening to him talk about football. His recall is crazy. You guys remember those viral Barstool clips where they'd be like, "Hey, do you remember what play you guys ran in the third quarter against Washington in 2017?" And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, 3rd and 8. RPO skinny post," whatever. I don't want to do any misinformation because I can't remember what he was fucking talking about. And he could do that with any given play. So I really like McVay. The Rams are always going to be in the mix. And I think that's a testament to their coach. Same thing as the Steelers. The Steelers, right? Mike Tomlin, they're always in the mix. I think that's an indicator of a really well-run football organization when obviously the head coach sticks around for a long time, but your organization, no matter who comes in and out the door, is able to sustain a certain level of success over time because, as we all know, football is chaotic. There's a lot of things that happen that you can't control. There's a lot of injuries. There's a lot of personalities. There's a lot of outside voices like us, right? And so to maintain some certain level of standard and winning over time is very remarkable, especially at the highest level. And I think McVay is a guy that continues to show us that he's capable of running an organization that fits that criteria. Okay, so that's my synopsis of the game last night. Didn't expect San Francisco to win this at all. Didn't expect it to really even be close, but it's pro football division game. I think we said that yesterday. I think Mac Jones is the guy right now. I don't know why you don't go with the guy that's winning. I know you're paying Brock. I think they were a little quick to the trigger to pay him like that. I will say, he got him to a Super Bowl. That's great. Just don't know if I feel like the stars just all kind of aligned. Brock Purdy's probably got a great agent too, but I think you go with Mac Jones right now. I think you go with Mac Jones until the wheels fall off. He's going to have a short leash. He's definitely going to have a short leash. But anyways, So here's more news, and we might have a short show today. You know, it's Friday. We'll send you guys off, let you go on a date with the lady, that kind of thing. You might be driving to your date with your lady right now, and if you are, I appreciate you popping in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're the fastest growing football channel in the land, and we're here every day, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7-ish Eastern. We've been pretty late this week, I will admit. Just had a lot going on outside, but I'm glad to be here with you guys today. So go ahead and pound that subscribe button for me. We are planning. We're not big enough yet, but we are going to be doing this for a living for a long time. And so we really appreciate if you guys hop in on the ground floor as we continue to grow this thing, and you will be rewarded. I will say that. So anyways, appreciate you guys. Just had to take a second there for station identification. Everybody is probably so young in the live stream right now that they might not even remember the old AM radio talk shows where they go, they're in the middle of the program and they go, let's take a second for station identification. This is 6:30 WLAP in the morning with Clark Dupree. You know, I miss those days. And that's what we're trying to emulate here with this show. I miss those AM talk radio vibes. I want to set up a call-in line. I keep putting it off. I'd love to set up a live call-in line where fans are able to dial in and interact with us on the show. Make it as much like a Southern college football AM radio show as possible. So, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys hitting that subscribe button. I really do. A Nevada Supreme Court rejected the NFL's attempt to block the lawsuit that John Gruden has launched against them. Mr. Lawson, shout out to Lawson Asher. A Nevada Supreme Court rejected the NFL's attempt to block John Gruden's lawsuit against him. John Gruden can now show emails, texts, etc. And I think Gruden's got the NFL by the balls. I think Gruden's definitely one of the top 32 head coaches in the world. He's been blackballed from the game because he doesn't choose to submit to the woke mob that runs this league, quite frankly. The NFL is gay. Like, shut the fuck up. Fucking idiots, man. And there's one group of people that run it all, and their noses are a little larger than average. Let me stop. Okay? But those are the exact type of people that don't like John Gruden. They don't like a guy like John Gruden. They don't like a no bullshit, gritty, maybe a little less than politically correct, but he gets the boys fired up type of guy like John Gruden. These big-nosed fucks that run all the powerful organizations in the world. They don't like a guy like John Gruden. You know what I mean? And it was a complete bullshit shakedown that they blackballed his ass from the league. John Gruden's one of my favorite figures in all of football. I love his content. I hope to emulate his content. I had a buddy that sent me, he sent it to our high school friend group, actually, which was even nicer. He sent over one of those Gruden nicey clips, you know what I'm saying? I can't even. I'm thinking about how I could like impersonate it or set it up, but I don't even think I'd do it justice. You know what I like? Defensive backs that fly to the football. How about Isaiah Rodgers? Got me feeling nicey. Wah, wah, oh! If you guys haven't seen Gruden's content, dude, you got to go over to his YouTube channel. It's very informative. He'll do like X's and O's, like textbook video breakdowns on like what a 3-4 defense is. Great material to show your girlfriend, by the way. Oh, every time I have a new woman in my life, I'll just tell her, I'll be like, hey, do you even know what a 4-3 base defense is? I had a special teams coordinator in college. He had a little, he played a little football himself. We'll just say that. And he used to walk in to our special teams meetings, and he always had his guns. He'd walk in like this. He'd walk in, he'd be like, "Hey, where's Dupree?" And I'd be like, "Here, coach." He'd look at me, he'd be like, "Do you even give effort?" You know, that kind of coach. And as a young kid, you don't know really what to say. But as a, you know, I guess I'm unk now. I guess I'm chopped. As a unk, you know, I love thinking about that. I wish I could have interacted with him in my skin now. But anyways, it reminds me of Gruden. It's that same kind of vibe. So anyways, there's this TikTok dude, and it was somebody had like green screened. They like cut out Gruden doing the nicey video, and they had like green screened like a nice steakhouse behind him, and it was like me on a first date, and he's just like talking about, you know what I love more than anything? Guys who fly to the football. Isaiah Rodgers forced 2 fumbles and took one back to the house. And it plays it got me feeling nice. Anyways, I'm not doing it justice, but I love Gruden. And I think he's got the NFL by the balls now, dude. I really do, because he can show all the texts, all the emails. You know, all he's got to do is be like, hey, I said fag like one time, and they blackballed me for this shit. And now you got guys like, who's someone I can shit on in the NFL? There's not 32 guys in the world that are more cut out for an NFL head coaching job than John Gruden. Let's just say that. But, you know, the thing is that Gruden is probably he's obviously got some dirt in those emails and texts as well. Like if he chooses to expose Goodell in the NFL, you know, he's probably going to have to drop some stuff that he said that might not look too good. So, but I think the NFL and Goodell, they've got a lot more to lose from Gruden releasing this shit than Gruden does. Gruden's already been blackballed, you know, and now he's making a great career for himself, working with Barstool. You know, I'll tell you this, man. Barstool as a whole these days has just become very cringy. Like, I know there's a whole demographic that people on Twitter make fun of, and they call it Barstool America. It's just kind of like those, like, airhead, like, smooth-brained idiot dudes that'll kind of wear whatever hats you sell them, whatever's, like, the same kind of dudes that wear, these days, they wear the hats with, like, Dallas, but it's upside down. You guys know what I'm talking about? Like, people who, I feel like people that consistently consume Barstool these days are those same type of guys that wear the Dallas hats, but the Dallas is upside down. You guys get what I'm saying, kind of? So largely, like, I think Barstool's washed. I think public opinion on Dave Portnoy has kind of shifted. Again, he's a crybaby about a certain group of people that like to over-victimize themselves, and I'll leave it at that. But the bright spot in Barstool as of late has by far been John Gruden. The bright spot. But I think with John Gruden, if he was offered the opportunity to coach again, he wouldn't even think twice about it. He's having a flourishing career making content. He could do that the rest of his life, feed his family, probably feed his kids and his grandkids and his grandkids' kids. That's how good at content John Gruden is. He's a fucking content machine. But this guy's passion is in coaching. And that's very evident. You guys saw when he went and visited the University of Georgia, the way he was talking to these guys and the way he was talking about how he wishes he could coach in the SEC. You know, it's pretty sick watching, like, the only thing that I wouldn't like about Gruden being back as a head coach, and I do think it's a matter of when and not if, is that we're not going to get the content from him that we're getting right now. So that would suck. But watching a guy live out his true God-given purpose, which for John Gruden is coaching, is much more gratifying to me. So we'll see what happens. This Nevada court, they struck down the NFL. They said, look, he's got the right to release these emails, to release these texts, and Gruden now seems to have the NFL by the balls. I hope he's able to strong-arm his way back in to the NFL. And I hope certain people just hate that. I hope that they hate it. Okay, like I said, we're gonna preview Week 5. I'm gonna go down the list and predict every game for Week 5. And if I'm wrong, you guys can come back and shame me in the chat on Monday when we recap all the games. But we've already kind of previewed the college slate. Let me see if I've got my notes here. I just want to make sure there's no college games that we left untouched. Texas A&M versus Mississippi State. I'm going to go with an upset pick here. I'm going to say Mississippi State is pissed off from losing a game that they lost to Tennessee that they shouldn't have lost last week, and they come and they play Texas A&M strong, and they end up knocking them off. Vandy versus Bama. Everybody's saying that Bama's going to take their revenge this game and beat the shit out of Vandy. I don't see that happening. I actually see it being a highly contentious game. I do see Bama coming out on top in the end, but I hope I'm wrong. Who else we got in the SEC? Somebody picked Florida to beat Texas. I don't buy it. I don't think Florida can score points. I think Billy Napier, the head coach of Florida, is probably fired in less than a month. They've got a brutal gauntlet of games coming up. I don't think this game is one that they will win. Texas beats Florida because Florida can't score points. I could see this Texas-Florida game being like a final score of 14-3 because Texas has got their own problems too. But Florida just doesn't seem to be able to score. So I got to take Texas there. Kentucky, Georgia. Again, Kentucky is ass. They're a failing football program. They should have fired Mark Stoops years ago, but they have not because University of Kentucky's athletic director, Mitch Barnhart, has got his head in his ass. And Mark Stoops has a huge buyout, even though he's never really brought any type of championship contention to Lexington, Kentucky. Now, what I will say, Kentucky is a sorry-ass football team, and they're going on the road to Athens, Georgia, to play a pissed-off Georgia Bulldogs team who just lost at home for the first time in 33 home games to Alabama. I will say, and I am no stranger to Kentucky football. Growing up in Lexington, Kentucky, my parents were season ticket holders. I've been to, for the first 18 years of my life, I went to every single University of Kentucky home football game. Kentucky always plays Georgia tough for whatever reason. It's almost like that mental stranglehold that Alabama's got on Kirby. Kentucky is always a tough game for Georgia. So I do see this game being a lot closer than people think. I do think Georgia pulls away in the end. Their depth's going to wear Kentucky down, and Georgia obviously comes out on top. I originally thought when I first saw this game slate this week that the Kentucky-Georgia game wasn't even going to be worth talking about. But after thinking about it, it's always a very contentious matchup for whatever reason. They're very familiar with each other. So that's my prediction for the college slates, the main college games here. Let's go down the list. NFL Week 5 will send you guys on your way. Vikings at Browns, we open up with that. It's a London game. Dylan Gabriel getting his first start as a rookie. Highly contentious quarterback room right now. In fact, I posted some clips about Shedeur Sanders and how I don't think he's going to have an NFL career if he keeps behaving the way he behaves. And I got so much blowback on TikTok. And it was all, I was about to say I got to be careful on how I say this. I think you guys already know where I'm going with this. It's a bunch of race-sensitive people that get pissed off about when you criticize Shedeur Sanders. It's a bunch, and I feel like this is the attitude that is actually ruining Shedeur Sanders. Oh, you're criticizing me because I'm black. No, I'm not, man. I was getting called pink toe Peckerwood in the comments. I was getting called Pinky. I was getting called all kinds of names, bro. These Gen Z kids, they like to say Saibow, and I didn't know what that meant. I was like, Saibow. I was like, that sounds Asian. And then I Googled it, and it's an acronym for shut your bitch ass up. And these people are saying, like, look, this guy looks like he likes Charlie Kirk and all this stuff. I'm like, I didn't. Rest in peace to the king, though. You know what I'm saying? But just a bunch of I posted a clip on TikTok criticizing Shedeur Sanders, and all these people come out of the woodwork and make it a race thing, and then they end up saying racist shit to me. They say, "Look at this white honky talking about my brother Shedeur. He ain't know what he talking about." It's like I love the African American people. I really do. Don't let the Trump impression make that unserious. I really do love black people. There's aspects of black culture that have deeply positively affected my life. But whenever you criticize Shedeur Sanders, for some reason, it becomes a race debate. And it's like, no, dude, this is about football. But anyways, I just had to get that off my chest. Obviously, very contentious relationship between Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. And that says something about the two of them as well. That says something about this generation. That, to me, is the antithesis of football. It doesn't matter who's starting. And I told my Pop Warner kids this last night. It doesn't matter if your boy is wearing the same colors as you. That's your fucking dog. Because these kids, my Pop Warner kids, they were kind of criticizing. I was coaching my defense. They're kind of criticizing each other last night on the same side of the ball, and I got on their ass. I was like, "Are you guys trying to get the same job done?" I said, "What job are you guys trying to accomplish?" And they said, "Tackle the ball carrier." And I said, "You're both trying to do that, right?" They said, "Yeah." And I said, "Then why are you talking shit to each other? You're working towards the same goal. You're wearing the same colors." I try to teach these kids early, because I feel like this internet generation, this TikTok generation, they want to get real tribal. They want some kind of they want to be like, I'm more important than the next guy. Bull fucking shit. This is football. When we come out on the field and we're wearing the same colors, we drop all that. And it's kind of sad to see that happening in pro football between two young guys. That's all I'm going to say about that. I got Vikings. They win that game against the Browns, even though they're in London. There's a lot of factors, a lot of weird things when you go into an international game. It's probably going to be a close one, but I got Vikings in that one. That's the first game of the day. Cowboys at Jets. Hard to not take the Cowboys. I think the Jets are neck and neck with my Bengals for the worst coach team in football right now. Aaron Glenn just doesn't seem to be running that program to an extent that's acceptable. I'd be crazy to take the Jets, so I'm taking Cowboys. Giants at Saints. Going Giants. I think Jackson Dart's the real deal. We'll see. He's got to prove it. There's more buzz in New York than there's ever been with this Scatabo Dart combo. Let me tell you that. And they are taking advantage of it on social media. Let me tell you, every reel that's New York Giants related that I see is Dart and Scatabo. So I got Giants there. Raiders at Colts. I think this is going to be a scary one for Indy. Now, it's a home game. It is definitely what would fit the bill as a trap game for the Colts. Definitely fits the bill for a trap game. I think The Raiders are coming off an inspiring performance on the ground. They should have beat the Bears last week. They're pissed off. I'm actually going to take the Raiders in this game. I think they're going to be pissed off. I think they're going to be able to build off of G&T's performance, Raheem Mostert's performance on the ground, and they're going to shock Indy. Indy's going to have to look. Steichen's going to, and I hope I'm wrong. By the way, I love the Colts. They're a former employer of mine. I want to see them ball out because obviously my Bengals aren't worth watching. And so I could bandwagon with the Colts if they continue to play well. As my former employer. So I hope I'm wrong. I'm going to take the Raiders. They're pissed off about losing this game to the Bears last week, and they had an inspiring performance on the ground. I think they continue that momentum, and they shock the Colts in a trap game. Dolphins at Panthers. Don't even really know why I'm talking about this one. Dolphins are depleted. They're debilitated. I think Mike McDaniel's one of the coaches in the league that's on the hot seat. I heard him trying to give a pump-up speech to the Dolphins earlier this week. Someone recorded it or some news reporter got a hold of it, and it just sounded like Mike McDaniel was trying to motivate his guys, and it just didn't sound inspiring at all. They're fucked up from this Tyreek Hill injury, Panthers win that one. And the Panthers are at home. Broncos at Eagles. It's going to be a tough one for Denver to win. Even though Denver made my Bengals look like absolute dog water trash, I don't think the Broncos are as good as they were last year. And I think the Eagles probably dominate that game on the ground like they always do. I feel like people have kind of been forming this idea in their head that I've been like criticizing Jalen Hurts a bunch. I said prime Cam Newton was better than Jalen Hurts this week. I think that's pretty obvious. I've also said that Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball downfield, and they didn't complete a pass in the second half against Tampa Bay, so I think I'm vindicated in that take. But I do think the Eagles know their role. Nick Sirianni does a great job of making sure his players know what role they play in this ecosystem, and they become a master of what they do, which is dominate possession, play good defense, and hit the ground. And then they got the best back in the game to do that. So the Broncos, what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to load the box and be aggressive on first and second down and dare Jalen Hurts to throw it downfield. Now, it still might be enough, and the Eagles still might be able to run all over them, and I think that's probably what's going to happen. I got Eagles. And they're at home. Texans or Ravens. It's going to be tough for Baltimore. I don't know if Cooper Rush is a guy that's going to be able to consistently win games for Baltimore. I know Lamar's not going to be out for long, but Lamar is out this Sunday. And also, dude, like the comments C.J. Stroud made at 23 about being old were it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Now, I've never played pro football. I've never been hit week to week like a pro quarterback probably is. But to say at 23 you feel old, it's freaking ridiculous, man. That tells me that you're not confident in the longevity of your career. You're not confident that you can play good football over the long haul. And that's exactly what a guy like Tom Brady is the antithesis of, who's obviously the greatest of all time. So at 23, if you're saying that you feel old, you're not eating right, or you're not sleeping right, or you're not stretching, or you're not getting in the cold plunge, or you're not meditating, or you're not writing in your journal every morning, or you're not making your bulletproof coffee. There's just something off about those comments. I don't like that. Your job is to maintain your body so that you can go out and play at a high level, and I didn't agree with those comments. With all that being said, the Ravens are beat up. They're debilitated. I mean, holy shit, what if they start this season off 1-4? That would be crazy given the expectations that this Ravens team had. But it's very possible. It's very possible, and this might be the toughest game for me to call of the week, which is why I'm kind of taking my time right now because I really don't know who will win. I'm going to take, Ravens are at home. I'm going to take the Ravens. C.J. Stroud comments were just too bullshit for me. Titans at Cardinals. Give me the Cardinals. Bucks at Seahawks. That's another tough one. Seahawks at home. I haven't watched much of Seattle Seahawks this year, other than red zone glimpses. Let's go with. I'm going Tampa Bay on that one. On the road, they're pissed off after this game last week against the Eagles. I take Tampa Bay. Lions at Bengals. Lions. Commanders at Chargers. Jaden Daniels, I saw a headline about him, but I didn't read it. I don't know if he's coming back this week. If he's back, I lean towards Commanders. But even so, if he comes back, he might not be at full tilt. So I'm gonna go with the Commanders in that one. And this is my cue to get off the podcast and get on Madden, by the way. We got 2 games left to call, and then we're good. Pats at Bills. I guess this is a Sunday night game, and then the Chiefs-Jags game is a Monday night game. I'm taking Bills, and then I'm taking Chiefs against the Jaguars. So that's what we got today. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Appreciate you. We got some free promo going on behind me. If you like football, you're going to love this channel. And we're live with our show here in the jar every day, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7-ish Eastern. Subscribe. It really helps us a lot. We're the fastest growing football channel in the land. Dr. Phil! Let's have a great weekend of football now. Let's go! Let's go! Subscribe! 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 Subscribe. Let's go! Stop freezing too. Let's go, baby. It's a good weekend to be alive. I hope you guys have a hell of a weekend. And be a friend. And tell a friend, in the great words of Pat McAfee, tell a friend about the show if you enjoyed what we have today. We're also on all audio platforms. If you miss any part of the episode, you can either go to the channel and replay it right here, right now, or you could go to your audio platform and make your girlfriend listen to it. Brush her up on her ball knowledge. How about that? Love you guys so much. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you Monday. Or if you want to stick around on the channel, we'll see you on Madden here in a couple minutes.